All right, today we're going to look at some information about argumentative writing. So what's the difference between persuasive writing and writing argument? So persuasive, in a persuasive essay, you can select the most favorable evidence, you can appeal to emotions, you style to persuade your readers, and your single purpose is to be convincing. So the same might be said of propaganda or advertising. But an argument, on the other hand, is mainly about logical appeals and involves claims, evidence, warrants, backing, and rebuttals. Argument is the heart of critical thinking. It is the kind of writing that you need to know to be successful in college and in life. So, an ELA argument, you need your claim. All right, this is an assertion or conclusion that answers the original question, or prompt, as we like to call them. So, data from the text can support this claim, and the data needs to be appropriate and sufficient to support the claim. Then you need reasoning or justification that links the claim and evidence. So the reasoning shows why the data count as evidence to support the claim by applying an appropriate ELA framework or an established criteria. And we talked about how to do that in an essay and clearly explaining how it fits into this framework to meet the criteria. So you have your claim. You're going to cite some evidence that is relevant and verifiable. You're going to explain how the evidence, so you can have this support, this textual support in your paper, but you got to explain how it is supporting your claim. And then you want to have some qualifications, and you need to acknowledge the counter arguments or the differing opinions. All right, the claim or the thesis statement. This is the most important sentence in your paper. It's an assertion. You don't say I think, you don't say it might, you say it is. All right, you want to answer the question if there's a prompt. All right, so what are you trying to prove? You want to this helps bring focus to your entire essay. Everything in your essay should come back to this sentence. All right, and it lets the reader also know the main idea of the paper. It's not a factual statement. It's not an announcement of purpose. It's a claim that you're going to prove throughout your paper. So, what do you think? Is this a claim? What some people refer to as global warming is actually nothing more than normal long-term cycles of climate change. It is. This person is making an assertion that global warming is not real, and it's actually just long-term cycles of climate change. So they would use the rest of their paper to prove this to be true. All right. Is this a claim? All right, Langston Hughes uses metaphors to illustrate how having to postpone one's wishes or desires can lead to destruction. And this is a thesis statement. It tells you what a paper would be about, but it's not a claim. He actually did do this. You don't have to prove it to be true. It is true. All right, so like we said, it is the most important sentence in your paper. We just talked about this, but it's really going to frame your paper. All right, you need concrete evidence from the reading to back up what your claim is, what your thesis statement is. It's got to be unified, specific, accurate, adequate, relevant, and representative from a source, okay? And it needs to be a source that is authoritative. It doesn't just need to be Jim Bob's website. You know, this person, it needs to be authoritative. The person writing about this needs to know what they are talking about. All right, so some appropriate evidence you could use would be current events, historical events, literature, analogies, hypotheticals, and personal anecdotes. And those are not always appropriate, so you might want to steer away from those, especially in writing for unless it's specifically asked. All right, then you want to have some explanation, some commentary, the why, justify the use of your data. Why is it relevant? Why does it help the person reading understand your claim and the text? Then finally, your counter argument. You want to acknowledge that there's another side. And by acknowledging that other side and disproving it, you can strengthen your own argument. Then finally, your conclusion. Don't forget about that conclusion. You want to have you ended the discussion. Think about you need a logical argument to end it. You need to restate your claim or your thesis. And that means to restate, reword it. That doesn't mean just to rewrite it word for word. And then have you summarize the main points of the argument. All right, guys, so hopefully that will help you with writing an argument.